Hi, everyone. It's Maura from the Center for Teaching and Learning at Pratt. I am going to give you a quick tutorial on how to set up Google Meet through Pratt's Google Suite. Something you might want to consider before you decide which works best for you is thinking about whether you want your classes to run online asynchronously, which means you record content for your students to interact with whenever. Something that we suggest for this is having deadlines for the assignments that you're giving your students, so that work will be covered within a certain amount of time that's predetermined by you and the class. Or if you are doing your classes synchronously, which means that they're running at their typical times, say 5 p.m. on a Monday, and that you're using Google Meet as the forum in which you're meeting. So we'll talk a little bit about those, but mostly this video will focus on meeting your students synchronously. We'll have another video in a separate file if you decide that you want to record your content and post it somewhere for your students to interact with. So something about offering these synchronous meetups is that you'd want to keep the meetings sort of on the shorter side and build some content around. The CTL is going to circulate a document that steps you through all the considerations you'll have as you start to build this content. But right now we're going to focus on how to hold a meet with your students. So in this screen now, what you'll want to know is how to get here. So I am going to show you how to do that. So right now I'm sharing a screen with you, and it's a slideshow that I've presented, that I've prepared in order to show you how to click on Meet from the Google Drive. So you're on your Pratt email, you're up in Drive, you click there, and you'll find the icon for Meet. It'll bring you to this page, and you'll want to start a meeting by pressing on that plus sign there. And it'll prompt you to name the meeting. You can name it whatever you like, and you'll press continue. Then it'll prompt you to yet join again. And you can either go immediately into present mode, which is what I'm in right now, or just press join now, where you'll have the opportunity to talk with your students and see who's there, have like a little roll call before you move into a presentation mode. And then here's the name of your chat. Here is how they can dial in and a PIN that they would use. All that information is there. You can copy that joining info and then paste it into an email to your students, or you have the option of adding them right here as a click through, right? And you'll add each student individually. So once you do that, you'll get to this screen where you'll see your lovely face. There's a few options that I want to point out here. So if you hover over the bottom, something will pop up. It'll be these 3 buttons. There's a couple of things. The record the meeting is for the asynchronous classroom. It's what I'm doing right now. I'm recording this to then post this content. If you're meeting your students synchronously, meaning at the time that the class is meant to run, you don't really need to worry about that unless you want to post it for students who, for whatever reason, won't be able to make it. Second is the turning on captions, which is super useful. And as soon as we're done with this presentation, I will go back to that. It's useful. You want to think about accessibility for all of your students, especially if you're thinking about a time frame, keeping it short and running quickly through content. This might be helpful for some of your students, if not most. And then last, you'll go back to this present now, and that's how you get into showing your students another screen on your computer where you say have a slideshow that you've set up, and then they can see you on the split screen here as well as the content that you're showing. So that's that. I am going to go back to our meetup, and I'm going to show you how to add a student. And I'm going to do that with my lovely colleague, Judith. So here I am. I've clicked on the side screen, and I'm going to add people. And here's Judith, clicking to send her an invite. Something that I wanted to do was turn on those captions. And I'll wait for Judith to join. Okay, so here we are, and we're waiting for our student to join. I'm turning my captions on. Student.
Hi, Maura.
Hi, Judith. So I want to step through a couple of the features. Judith, would you please find me on the chat on the right-hand side of your screen? Super. So this chat is a good idea to have open so that your students can ask any questions while you're giving content in this synchronous mode. Again, it won't work if you're recording the content to have your students interact with later. Obviously, this is a more real-time option. And then you click off the chat in order to remove it. Unit, I'm going to do a presentation now, and I want you to just explain what you are seeing. Could you explain?
Yes, so I just unmuted myself, and what I see is on the left-hand side, I can see your screen, and my phone is ringing in the meantime. I don't know if you can hear it. And I can see your picture on the right-hand side, so I can see them both.
Great, so you can see the slideshow presentation as well as my face.
Yes, I can.
Amazing. So I'm going to go back to this meetup. I am still sharing my screen so that you all can see. Something I want you to notice is that Judith has again muted herself, and that's visible there. Judith, if you go ahead and turn off your video, what happens then? Great. It turns to an icon of Judith. It's usually what the student has uploaded as their profile picture. Okay, so before we sign off, Judith, would you come back to the chat? Amazing. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Thank you for being our little guinea pig for the video here. And great, we'll see you, Judith. Thanks. Okay, so some things to keep in mind. You can ask your students to mute themselves. You can also mute them. I will go back into present mode so you can see how that's done. Your students there, you can, oh look, I am muted. Whoa. Okay. So a bunch of things for you to mess around with. As always, what you want to do is be sure that you have at least a ground level familiarity with this option, because things will always pop up like a ringing phone or weird screen within a screen, or sometimes the invitations won't go through to email for some weird glitch. So certain things you might want to do is invite the students as well as sending them the joining information. And just always be prepared for those odd little things that might come up within the system. And if you have any questions, always please feel free to reach out. Our upcoming videos will focus on the asynchronous classroom, so recording content for your students to interact with. And then the synchronous and asynchronous classroom options if you're already using Google Classroom as an option for your courses here. Good luck.